The second part of the Ice and Flame Tempest trials is out right now. Turns out this Nifla and Mistful plotline is getting a part 3, so the story continues in next month's update. I guess Mass Mark wanted to take summer off this year. As usual, if you earn the maximum 50,000 points, you can earn up to 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. For this month, we can earn up to 50 ephemeral 8 divine codes, and a light blessing for Mythic Uller. For sacred seals, we have Spur attack and defense, and the very surprising Steady Breath A scale. The reward unit this time is Pirate Lifis, and you can get a 4-star and 5-star copy. We'll talk about him more later on. Starting with Spur attack and defense 2, this C skill grants +3 attack and defense to adjacent allies during combat. Dual Spurs are okay support buffing options, but you do need to be right up next to an ally. Spur attack and defense is actually quite hard to get normally since it's on 2 5-star only units. You can use Spurs with their C skill versions, or you can also just use them with the 2 space drives or any other buffing skills. There's nothing wrong with Spurs if your units are going to be next to each other, but generally speaking, a lot of players like to run the longer range drive type skills. It's just safer, and of course the extended range is easier to use. If you want to upgrade Spur attack and defense, it should only cost 100 coins since it only has one upgrade. However, I went to double check this and it appears to only cost 50 sacred coins. You can see that the other dual Spurs cost 100 coins, which has been the norm, but Spur attack and defense only costs 50 for some reason. I don't know if this is intended, because I only noticed it just now. Honestly, with how many sacred seals there are, it's nice if they would decrease the cost for new players. It's a huge barrier, especially if you have to buy the old sacred seals if you miss them. For our second sacred seal, we have Steady Breath. This is a huge sacred seal you definitely do not want to miss. Steady Breath states if the foe initiates combat, grant +4 for defense and special cooldown charge, +1 per attack. Steady Breath and its variants are incredibly powerful because they grant increased special charge on all actions. This means when you attack, you get more charge, and when you get hit, you get extra cooldown charge as well. Some skills only grant the +1 charge on your own attacks or only when you get hit. Breath type skills are insanely good because in 2 actions, your unit gets 4 cooldown charges. This is why Special Fighter is super busted. Having this much extra special cooldown opens up some incredible build options. I think a lot of units wouldn't mind sacrificing some bigger stat boost for +1 special charge, and you still get +4 defense as a bonus anyway. Being able to run Steady Breath in the Sacred Seal slot can be amazing for distant counter users. Brave Ike, what is refined, can use DC very well, but it meant sacrificing Steady Breath, which also was great for Aether spam. He solved this issue thanks to Brave Lucina's Refine, and she's been top tier for providing breath type cooldown reduction for allies. If you wanted, Brave Ike with DC no longer needs Lucina glued to his back. You can instead run another support unit, or you can use any other combative unit. Let's briefly touch on some Steady Breath seal combos. You can run it with a tier 3 dual stance for guard and a bunch of stats. Like we mentioned, the distant counter usage is fantastic with it. Generally, you want units with slang weapons because it lets Steady Breath instant charge 3 cooldown specials like Soul, Bonfire, Iceberg, Luna. Fallen Edelgard does this with Bonfire. Very strong with the 5 cooldown Aether as well. Arm units have some nasty setups with this skill. Pirate Surtur can run DC, Crafted Fighter, and Steady Breath to simulate Special Fighter plus Quick Riposte. Someone like Black Knight can emulate the old school Steady Breath plus Bold Fighter setup, and now he has a free A skill to use. As an enemy phase skill, Steady Breath also pairs nicely with the near save and far save skills. Yikes. As a reminder, breath type skills can only be used by melee infantry and armor units. Ranged units cannot abuse these. As time goes on, a distant counter sacred seal seems less and less crazy.
We're the Lifis pirates! Treasure is ours! All of it! Everywhere! Every last coin! Festival! Ugh! Pirates are not your playthings!
Our Tempest reward unit is going to be Pirate Lifis. Lifis has some great things to talk about, but he may be undervalued a bit, and we'll discuss why that is. As a unit, Lifis will be an Axe infantry unit, and while it seems like we've gotten a lot of free-to-play Axe users this year, Lifis is actually the first one for Axe infantry in 2021. It's mainly been Axe Cavaliers, although we did just get Summer Casper for summonable options. Now, for stats, Pirate Lifis has 47 HP, 36 attack, 40 speed, 30 defense, and 23 resistance. Very good stat spread. This is basically the type of stat spread you expect from a free-to-play Swordmaster type unit. Good base attack, fantastic speed, and low 30s defense with low 20s res. Lifis does have a really high base HP stat, and this can make him stand out potentially. He's in a very good spot if you want to go all out on merges and skill inheritance. For his weapon, Lifis brings the Helmsman Axe Plus. This is a 4-2 inheritable axe that inflicts -4 to all stats on the foe when you initiate combat. This effect sounds familiar because it's the exact same as the inheritable Fox Tomes. Helmsman Axe is another inheritable axe to choose from, and it's a very simple player phase weapon. You initiate and you lower all the opponent's stats. With stat refines, you could get another +3 speed, so in total this weapon can give you +7 speed on initiations, which isn't bad at all. You'll deal more damage, and you also take less damage too from either damage type. It's not a bad weapon, but it does only focus on player phase, and there are just many other strong inheritable axes to choose from. Lifis definitely doesn't have to keep this weapon. For the rest of his base kit, Lifis comes with Swap Assist, no link skills or anything. This is just a movement assist skill in his kit. For his A skill, he's going to have Wind Boost 3, which grants +6 speed if Lifis starts to fight with 3 or more HP than the foe. The boost A skills are not completely terrible, but they're just not the best skills out there. For a high HP unit like Lifis, +6 speed on either phase is actually quite good. However, once Lifis gets hurt, the chances of activating Wind Boost decreases. There are just other skills that work more consistently. Boost skills also suck real bad in hard PvE content, since all the enemies there have stupid high inflated HP stats. Moving on, Lifis will also come with Wind Sweep 3. Wind Sweep prevents the foe from countering if they have more speed than them. However, it also prevents your own follow-up attacks. There are ways to get around this, but it mainly depends on your weapon. Wind Sweep has become incredibly useful because of certain unique weapons having no follow-up built in, which disables the follow-up penalty on Wind Sweep. For Lifis, there aren't any inheritable weapons that can do this, so unless you have Legendary Byleth with his no follow buff, it's a rather awkward skill. If you wanted a unit to attack without getting countered, you just use the Fire Sweep weapons. The Fire Sweep axe is incredibly hard to get, but it just works way better than Wind Sweep gimping any other regular weapon. Overall, Lifis has a very strange base kit. Helmsman Axe is perfectly fine, but it's not an insane inheritable weapon. I would not recommend Wind Boost in the long term, and Wind Sweep doesn't really have a true place on Lifis, just like how it doesn't really do much for Joshua. It's mainly meant to be fought off here. In terms of merging, if you keep the neutral nature, Lifis will get +1 HP, attack, and speed. He has no super boons, but he has a great stat spread if you want to +10 merge him. Lifis will have a ton of HP to work with. Now, the lack of super boons doesn't make Lifis unusable, but this is one reason people will rate him lower than Ninja Hana. Pirate Lifis will have 176 BST, so without the super boon, he cannot hit the next BST tier. Ninja Hana, meanwhile, has a speed super boon, which not only is great for any speed focused builds, but she can hit that 180 BST bin. This only matters for arena scoring, but as a free to play unit with a great stat spread, this is kind of a deal breaker for certain players. As mentioned, Lifis and Hana are very similar, exact same attack and speed stats, which both triumph over any other free-to-play axe infantry units. Ninja Hana has basically been in her own tier for free-to-play axe units for the past year. In terms of defensive stats, Lifis has more defense, but Hana has more res. This is because Lifis puts all his stat points into HP. That can matter, so if you want a unit who can avoid HP comparison checks, then Lifis has the advantage. Besides arena score, both Pirate Lifis and Ninja Hana are amazing units. Last month we had Summer Norn, who made some waves with her similar stat spread because she's a lance infantry unit with virtually no competition. Ninja Hana was in that same boat last year, but unfortunately for Lifis, he makes less of an impact because we've had Hana for a while now. You switch their release dates and Lifis would have been hyped up as much as Hana was. Next, let's talk about builds. Normally I try to suggest the most budget friendly skills that utilizes a unit's base kit. Unfortunately, I don't really think Wind Boost or Wind Sweep are that great to keep. If you want +6 speed, you can literally just use Darting Blow 3 instead, especially since Helmsman Axe is a pure player phase weapon anyway. You could also just go with Swift Spare or Death Blow with the added speed from a speed refine. As for Wind Sweep, if you do keep it, then Lifis will never double, and that's kind of a huge waste for such a fast unit. The attack debuff from Helmsman Axe also won't mean anything if you aren't getting hit. You can maybe try to get cute with some smoke debuffs plus Wind Sweep, but I would not use the Helmsman Axe with that kind of build. For more regular phase player phase builds, Desperation is such a great choice. Lifis just wants to be initiating anyway. You can use Flashing Blade or Heavy Blade for faster specials, and any of these solo sacred seals would be nice too. If you want to avoid special retaliations from say a Steady Breath enemy, you can use the Guard B skill. For specials, Glimmer is nice since we're inflicting debuffs, but you can just go with Moonbow or Luna as well. Bonfire is also an option if you want to use Sturdy Blow or Attack and Defense solo. If you want to go for premium skills and max merges, you can just run the usual Swift Sparrow 3 with Swift Sparrow or Blade Session as a Sacred Seal. Full on offense will work just fine with this weapon. If you want to play around the debuff portion of Helmsman Axe, we can use Low Speed of Defense and Attack and Defense Menace to shred through defense stats. Sturdy or Mirror Impact can provide more safety on top of the -4 attack debuff, and you can use a Solo Sacred Seal to gain stats for both phases. If you just want to pump out pure damage, then Flash and Blade 4 can be fun. No follow-up would ensure Lifis gets his 2 hits against slower foes, and Time's Pulse can help with certain specials like Gale Force. As mentioned, Lifis will be able to basically run these same builds that Ninja Hana can, and that is a huge pool to choose from. He can borrow Hana's incredible Ninja Masakari axes for brave attacks with extra speed, and Spring Soleil has the Springy axe. If you don't care about taking 4 less damage, then Springy axe is better than the Helmsman axe because it grants +5 attack and speed, and it neutralizes attack and speed debuffs. It also works anytime the foe is above 75% HP. It's a fantastic axe for speed focused builds, including the dodge skills. Speaking of which, here are some more mixed phase and or defensive setups. A very popular build is Deck Swabber, Distant Counter, and a dodge skill. The Deck Swabber inflicts -5 attack and defense and neutralizes the foe's attack and defense field buffs when you're solo. Because of the solo condition, it's great with Rouse and solo Sacred Seals. This weapon can be great for your tankier builds, and you don't have to use DC or dodge skills. You can instead run something like low attack and speed, or low attack and defense, or maybe attack and defense ideal. Since the release of Ninja Hana, we've gotten the Pledging Axe from Pledging Male Chris. This weapon also inflicts attack and defense debuffs when solo, but it then takes the attack and defense debuffs on the foe and basically doubles them. This can cause massive static disadvantages, and it also pairs very well with attack and defense menace. For some other heritable axes, you could use the Huge Fan, Guard Axe, or Slaying Hammer. Slaying Axe with Steady Breath can be simple and fun as well. If you can get them, we have the Steadfast Axe from Dedu on the Hero Fest banner right now, and Summer Casper had the Victor Fish Plus. Lifis would be a good Fire Sweep Axe user, but it is only on Garrick, so good luck getting that one. Last thing I want to mention are HP based skills. Lifis can use his high base HP to proc the new Stall Ploy C skill, or you can inflict Panic Ploy or Sabotage Panic. If they ever decide to introduce tier 4 boost A skills, then perhaps Lifis can use those as well. Overall, this is a great Tempest Trials. Spur attack and defense provides more buffing options and takes even less coins to upgrade unless that's unintended. As for Steady Breath, it's a must get Sacred Seal. I'm pretty sure you don't have to upgrade it at all, and it can make some very fun enemy phase builds. For Pirate Lifis, he's another speedy X-Infantry heroic rail unit. Lifis will join Ninja Hana if you're looking for someone fast that will have a million different build options. A lot of great inheritable axes that are free to play obtainable means you have a ton of freedom. His Helmsman Axe Plus isn't that crazy, but it's a very simple and solid player phase weapon. If you're hungry for windsweep fodder, then Lifis will be able to provide that as well. Very solid unit that has good value whether you want to use him or borrow his skills. That's all I got for this video. Be sure to go and collect all those rewards. I'll be using all the orbs for my serial summons, and I finally have a cheap way to get myself some windsweep skills since I did build my Joshua up. Steady Breath is also going to be fun to play with, but I'm sure it's also going to make some very annoying builds to face off against. Let me know what you think about this Tempest Trials rewards, and I'll see you in the next video.